Hello and welcome to the No Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McDonald. With me, co-host Finn McDonald and co-host Sheldon Kaufman. Today is a special day. Today we are predicting the World Series for 2024. Sheldon is here. He's not typically here for MLB episodes. I think you can see if you're looking at his picture why this is. I'm going to let him go ahead and get his prediction out the way before me and Finn continue the rest of the show.
First of all, I'm so happy my Yankees are back in the World Series. Should have been there in 2017. We all know what happened. But hopefully, I'm going to get my prediction out of the way. There's not a lot of stats behind this. This is more based off what I've been watching throughout the series. Of course, I got the Yankees winning. I'm feeling like 6, though. I think it's going to be a pretty close series. 6, I could see it going 7. First of all, the starting pitching for the Dodgers is not really there. They've multiple times ran out like two or three bullpen games against the Mets, I think, maybe 2. They have Yamamoto. He's all right. Jack Flaherty, super shaky. He had one good start and then got lit up the next one. Not really a guy I would want to trust on the mound or feel confident in. And then their openers. Landon Knack is terrible. I don't know how he's still on the roster. Not really good pitcher. Their bullpen is okay, but I mean, when you're facing the Yankees, I think that they can go up very easily, get 2 or 3 runs within the first 4 innings with that bullpen in those bullpen games. Even when Yamamoto and Flaherty are pitching, I haven't really seen shutdown stuff from their staff, except for Yamamoto in one game. So I think we have the edge there. And our pitching staff we have Garrett Cole, proven starter. He's been great this playoffs. Luis Gill, I think, is a really good starter. He had a really good game. The last one he pitched in. If we can get more innings out of him, that'd be great. Clark Schmidt, if he gets past the 5th inning in one of his starts, he'll go to like the 7th or 8th. Really good pitcher that can control the game. And then could get Nestor Cortez back, which would be a huge help. But I just think that our pitching is just can do better to subdue their lineup, and they're not going to be able to do that to us. There won't be many games where the total score is going to be 7 or 6. I think it's going to be a very high scoring series. Most games played just because of the pure offensive power between both teams. But I think when you get down to it, the Yankees closers and the just starting pitching is better, and also our hitting has been picking up a lot. Namely, Gleyber Torres has been, if it wasn't for Stanton, probably the ALCS MVP. He's been getting on base so much. Every time I look up, Soto or Judge is up with Gleyber Torres on base. Volpe's starting to find his groove. Stanton's looking like he's in Miami again, and like the contract we gave him. Judge is starting to hit as well. The bottom of the lineup's picking it up with Rizzo. Ever since he moved down to the bottom of the lineup, he's been doing amazing. I just think, I mean, yeah, Shohei's great, Mookie Betts is great, Freddie Freeman, but I just don't see. I just simply think the Yankees are a better team, in my opinion. That's my take. Yankees in 6.
All right. I'm sure that we're going to talk about a lot of the things you just talked about over the next 40 minutes. So,
Yeah.
that'll
Thank
do
y'all for
it.
having me.
Yeah, that'll do it for Sheldon on here. I wanted him to get off his opinion because his team's in the World Series. I feel kind of weird leaving him off. Y'all will see him in a couple days for the first week of the NBA season recap. So that'll do it for that, and we'll continue with the rest of the show. All right. So now that Sheldon's gotten his take off, me and Finn are here to give the full preview and predictions for the World Series. To start, if you are living under a rock or maybe you're an NBA fan and that's how you're viewing this, the World Series is like the NBA Finals, obviously. But the teams that made it this year were the Dodgers and the Yankees. First, we're going to go over the path that these teams took to get to this point. We'll start. Finn, do you want to start, or should I start with the Yankees? Okay. So yeah, to start, the New York Yankees this season, they had a very good year. They got off to an electric start. They ended up winning the division, getting the bye. I believe they were the number 1 American League seed. they had a pretty fantastic season this season. That being said, they have played 8 postseason games so far, or they've played 9, 4 against the Royals, and 5 against the Guardians. Um, Currently, as it's lining up, since they got the series over faster than the Dodgers did, they have the rest advantage pitching wise. Garrett Cole is slated to go game 1 for the New York Yankees. Finn is who's slated to go game 1 for the Dodgers, rest wise. Jack Flaherty. Now, if we're starting with game 1 pitching advantage, it's very easily Garrett Cole here. The Dodgers had a much longer path to get to the World Series. Go ahead and tell me what their path to the World Series was. Yeah. More specifically, how did they get through it pitching wise? Yeah, 3 bullpen games. And even in the non-bullpen games, the bullpen ate a lot of work, right? Game 5 against the Mets, Jack Flaherty gets run out of it really quick. I think game 1 Flaherty might have gone 7 shutout. I know Bueller went 4 innings in his start. Yamamoto, he may have gone 4 and change. He definitely didn't go more than 5, I don't think. Yeah, and he was dealing that game, is worth saying. If he's not, yeah, he was the only starter who went any type of length, and then in his other start in game 5, he didn't give you that much length. So I don't know if we can rely on that. I feel like Garrett Cole, we can reasonably, we can pencil in 6 innings from him. Additionally, with the Yankees, they've had solid starting pitching. Rodon's gone after Cole in most of their starts, or in both of their series so far. He had a really shaky first start against Kansas City, and then a much better start against Cleveland. Um, that's fine. Stroman, there was some stuff with him almost not making the postseason roster. He's on the roster. Clark Schmidt on the roster, and Luis Gil is uh, the other starting pitcher on the roster, um, or at least in the active roster. I'm pretty sure they're all going to make the World Series roster, as the rosters are not out yet. There's some speculation that Nestor Cortez could make the World Series roster for the Yankees. I think that would be huge for them because that gives them so much innings. Um, and we just talked about it with the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't quite have those innings. I think Sheldon alluded to it earlier. Their long guy in those bullpen games, Landon Knack, has really kind of struggled. Although Brent Honeywell has given them some length also in the regular season. Yeah. hmm I mean, it is important to have a guy who can eat the last 3 innings of a not super close game, but you can't throw a position player out there. But I doubt, that might not happen in this World Series. I'm not so sure about that. Uh, Bullpen wise for the Yankees, although he's super shaky, Clay Holmes is their closer. Uh, most of the time they sometimes shy away from hit because he gives heart attacks routinely. Yeah, I was gonna get to that. It's been Luke Weaver a good bit because Clay Holmes is a walking heart attack for uh Yankees manager Finn Aaron Boone. um, yeah, they've shifted away from him. Otherwise than that, Tim Hill's been kind of good out of the bullpen for them. Uh, Tim Mazza, another lefty for them, and then Canely, Mark Leiter Jr., uh, Jake Cousins giving them relief innings. It's a pretty strong bullpen. I don't have too many questions about it, honestly, outside of Clay Holmes' ability to blow saves whenever he gives up runs. He will give up five of them, it feels like, and they will be the most five crucial runs. But that's how all closers are. If they're giving up runs, uh, it's going to be a big blow up game. Uh, Dodgers bullpen situation. Describe it to me, Finn. Like, yeah, he didn't. I don't think he made the NLCS roster. I'm pretty sure he's injured, like injured too. Um, I'll give you some pushback there. I think it's kind of solid, right? Like it doesn't have your, you know, names that you like, you know, but uh you have Blake Trinan obviously who I mean him and Evan Phillips are awesome, right? Those guys are great. Okay, I'll continue. Michael, yeah, next Michael Kopech I think gives them another high quality reliever. I know he had a, you know, he can look really shaky at times, but he's really figured out some stuff since he's gone to Los Angeles. They've increased his cutter usage. I believe in Chicago they like told him never to throw his off-speed pitch. Um, his yeah, just don't throw your best off-speed pitch. That's such a bad idea. Apparently, I don't know how a lot of people in the White Sox organization have jobs. I mean, obviously I do because they are definitely qualified to work the jobs that they do, but this thing is technically a meritocracy, right? If you're not doing good, you're on the hot seat. Um, either way, okay. How so? I guess we're sneaking into the impact here, but I do like to hear this conversation. Okay. I can, you know, generally I see that argument and then maybe this is a fan. Yeah, and this that is also how a lot of fans see the game. Look at it this way. Do we think that Dave Roberts throughout this postseason run against San Diego, against the Mets, do you think he has maximized the Dodgers' current roster? If that's the case, I don't think he can be on the hot seat, right? Maybe you could say, hey, this team also has Tyler Glass now. This team also has Clayton Kershaw. This team also has all of these other players: Emmett Sheehan, Bobby Miller, Brustar Gratterall, Alex Vesia, who's kind of an important piece of their bullpen because other than that, Anthony Band is their only left-handed pitcher. Um, they're missing all of these guys, and Dave Roberts has still gotten them to the situation that they're in now. We talked about it as Mets fans. Every step of the way, Carlos Mendoza was outmatched by Dave Roberts, and it was very clear. Dave Roberts, every time he pushed a button, it was the right button. It typically worked out. I and we didn't think Mendoza had the managerial ability to do that. Um, I don't see that of these two managers that this series could lead to the firing of Roberts. I think it would lead more towards Boone. Okay, let's compare going back to 2017, right? Since Aaron Judge breakout, where does this Yankees team compare against those other Yankees teams? Not just 2017, but 18, 19, 20, all the way to now. Like since 2017, how do we feel about the 24 Yankees compared to all of those other teams? Yeah, and I think it's clearly. I think this is by far the best. I think the 2017 team has some interesting stuff with bullpen. Like I think they had a really excellent bullpen in that season, like the best in the league type of thing. But I think this is by far the best Yankees team Aaron Boone's had, and I feel like it's very unlikely that it's going to get better. So if he can't come through with this roster or maybe the roster next season, I think maybe you move on from him. And I feel like Yankees fans have been calling for his job forever now. Uh, and maybe it sounds weird getting here, like he gets to the World Series and then we're gonna penalize him for that. But I mean, how do we feel about the AL bracket that they made it out of? I would generally agree. Now in that Guardian, yeah, I would say those are probably the two best bullpens in the league. Maybe Milwaukee is up there too, but I feel like those are the top two. In that Guardian series, Finn, who do we think had the overall roster advantage though? Because I feel like it still was probably the Yankees. Yeah. So I don't know. And do we feel like Aaron Boone made a bunch of genius managerial decisions? Like I feel like players just stepped up. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, having the ability to adapt and switch into Weaver as the closer, I do think that is a positive, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of managers would have made that decision. Um, Now, if it was him, moving from Emmanuel Clase to Luke Weaver and it working out, I feel like that's a big difference. But it's Clay Holmes we're talking about. He's been shaky for 2 seasons now, you know, and even at when he's going good, is he the 10th best closer in baseball? Yeah. Then like for me, I don't know. I'm not hating on Aaron Boone. I think he's still you know, he's an average big league manager, and I don't think managers really matter too much, right? When I think so. Maybe I I would like to have Aaron Boone going back to his former bench coach and becoming Carlos Mendoza's bench coach to help him with strategical decisions. Um, because the criticisms of Boone in the past have been like, "Hey, dude, you're the Yankees. You're not the Rays. You don't have to switch your lineup up every day." Which I understand to an extent, but either way, I think we've talked about the managers a good bit. Let's talk about maybe the players and the individual teams. Like, what impact does winning or losing this World Series have on these teams?
Think that it will determine whether or not Soto stays or if he leaves.
I think there's some merit to that. Um, what do we think about what
Or
do we?
like, I think he would be more willing to forsake money to stay in the Bronx if they win.
Hmm, I I don't know yet. Let me say this: if Juan Soto becomes a postseason hero in the World Series for the Yankees this season, I think he will have the camaraderie to want to stay in New York. I think though, if they win in spite of a poor performance from Juan Soto, I feel like that could, you know, that would be almost a non-effect. It would have, like if losing the World Series makes him want to leave, I feel like nothing would really happen if they win and he's not a big part of them winning the World Series. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I do think this does play a huge factor though.
That would be what I would say neutral. Does it add or subtract? Losing,
Yeah,
I think, subtracts.
hold up. While we're on air, let me call Sheldon back. I'm not going to put him on the call, but I'll call him on the phone and see what he would think if Juan Soto had an excellent World Series. How would Yankees fans feel if he left still and they won the World Series? Um, hopefully he gets on.
While you're getting him, what do you think the prognosis would be if he had a good World Series and in spite of that, they still lost?
I feel like those split decisions. I feel like the Yankees would then pursue to bring him back a little bit more, perhaps. Um, may, maybe that would lead to Soto wanting to come back because he's getting more money, but I don't know if that necessarily has anything to do with it being New York. I think that's more just they're paying him more money. Um, what do you think about all of this? Do you think his performance in the World Series is separate from the Yankees winning or not, or do you think if they win, Soto's going to want to come back regardless of his performance? If they lose, he's going to want to. Either way, you know what I mean. How do you feel about this?
I think his performance will matter.
I feel like it plays a factor, especially. Uh, I feel like it plays a
Not a
factor.
very big factor, but I do think it does factor.
Yeah, I mean, money talks, right? We're trying to get Sheldon on the phone again. Like, yo, all right, we're on now. As a Yankees fan, how would you feel if the Yankees won the World Series and Soto didn't have a good World Series and left in free agency? How would you feel about Juan Soto? Okay, okay. So you think the playoff run already has solidified? Okay, we're hearing this from. Okay, what if the Yankees lose the World Series? Soto has a great World Series and leaves in free agency. How would you feel about that? Basically, what Sheldon said is if the Yankees won the World Series, Soto had a poor World Series, Soto left in free agency. He wouldn't really care about Soto's performance. He would be more sad about Soto leaving and the Yankees losing the World Series. He wouldn't really have any ill will for Juan Soto. Um, he said he would be pissed though if the Yankees won the World Series. Soto performed poorly in the World Series and then left, he would be pissed because he still thinks that the postseason and the regular season run is redeeming of a poor 7-game series, which I feel like as a fan that makes sense. So
I agree.
that's insight from the fans. I'm not sure that doesn't really impact in how we think about it from Soto's perspective, but I feel like that was worth mentioning. All right. Uh, let's shift. Any other Yankees players? Here's the big one. What if Judge struggles in the World Series? Yankees win, Yankees lose, either way. Judge struggles. Is he looked at like pre-2022 Steph Curry with no Finals MVP?
No, I think they'll still value that one. Probably it end up being two regular season MVP season.
Yeah, I think that would be very not intelligent to make those type of arguments. This guy just had an insane 3-year offensive peak. Um, I feel like we should
Would have had
appreciate.
3 straight MVPs if that guy named Shohei Ohtani did not exist.
Yeah, in 2023.
That might have been Vlad.
No, Judge won it over Vlad. 2023 was Shohei. I think.
Yeah,
I
one of
think
the Shohei years, Vlad went off.
wait, no, Judge won it in 2022. In 2021, Shohei won it over Vlad. In 2023, I guess it was Shohei winning it. Yeah, it was Shohei winning it with Corey Seager in
But
second
Shohei won
place.
it over Judge that year.
Judge was hurt because he ran into a wall, and people called him injury prone because he got hurt when he ran full speed into a wall. Very intelligent.
Anyone's getting hurt if they run full speed into a fucking wall.
Only person not getting hurt is Shohei Ohtani because he's on the bench on defense. Anyway, dude, Aaron Judge, even that season, I think he was pacing to like literally compete with Shohei Ohtani, having his best pitching season today, even though he got hurt midway through it. Judge could have easily won MVP in 23. He's gonna win it in 22 or in 24. He won it in 22. Like his 3-year peak is so good that I don't really care that he's had a rough postseason season. It doesn't really factor for me. Going forward, over to the Dodgers, because I don't know how many other Yankees players there are that we can talk about their legacy. Dodgers players.
There's
They've
one more Yankee I want to talk about because he becomes a free agent.
Gleyber.
Yes, Clay.
Okay.
I do think that the World Series will have a small impact on whether or not they decide to bring him back.
Yeah. We look at it this way. 2023 was Gleyber Torres' second best season in the big leagues. His 2019 season was amazing, but he was really, really good in 2023 and looked the most polished he's ever looked as a hitter. And he's starting to show a lot of that in this postseason. I think if he continues that in the World Series, there's an argument that the Yankees should bring him back. And they are really tied up payment-wise. That's not really what we're going to talk about in this show. In the off-season show, I'm sure we will. But it is definitely possible for them to bring Gleyber back if they wanted to.
And if he does extremely poorly, there's no argument.
Yeah, and I feel like the take on Gleyber with Yankees fan is kind of solidified now. Like, it's a shrieky, pretty solid hitter who sometimes, he muffs it a little bit on defense, but I feel like Yankees fans are where they're going to be about Gleyber Torres. Unless he hits 5 home runs in the World Series and wins World Series MVP. Then they're going to really want him back.
That's what I meant by if he has that impact, it will make a difference.
It'll make a difference emotionally. I don't think it'll factor too much into the paying of Glaber, right? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't think that it does. I think this postseason in totality would, but like a couple games here or there, or like, I mean, if he wins World Series MVP, it's not just a couple games, but like, I feel like they would have other reasons to look past this poor 24 season and pay him handsomely. I feel like it wouldn't just be because of the postseason. We'll go forward to the Dodgers if you're ready to.
Yes, I am.
So yeah, this team has a lot of hangover from the 2020 championship team, even though some people don't like to refer to it as a championship. They eat crayons for breakfast if they say that, is what I have to say. A lot of deep postseason experience between a lot of these guys. We talked about Jack Flaherty as a streaky guy. The guy's been pitching in the playoffs since he was 21 years old, right? Was awesome in the playoffs yeah, as a young player for St. Louis. Either way, what Dodgers players do we think? Oh, there's obviously a big one here. Who has the most on the line here?
I don't know if this is who you're thinking of, but I think Teoscar might.
Okay.
With getting paid in free agency, because he is becoming a free agent.
Okay. I do actually see some of that, actually. Can we quickly say something about the Dodgers with just reviving these corner outfielders? They did it with Matt Kemp. They did it with JD Martinez. They've done it now with Teoscar Hernandez. I don't know what they're doing over there. Clearly, it has to be something illegal because there's no way they're doing this. They're doing it again. Yeah, the Teoscar. I do like the Teoscar pick because it will actually probably affect a little bit how he gets paid because he had a rough start to the Mets series. I know he had 3 hits in Game 6, but he was 0-4 until that Game 6. The guy I was obviously alluding to was Shohei Ohtani.
How does he have anything on mind? He's been paid.
I'm talking more, like how
Obviously,
narrative
perception-wise,
wise.
like, is this contract worth it? Is it going to bring the World Series?
Yeah, he has the biggest contract in sports history, right? In total, including deferred payments and including luxury tax cost, it's over $1.4 billion. Like, he has the biggest contract in sports history. It's not close. It's almost triple the Mahomes contract, right? And that one blew everybody's minds when it was signed. If Ohtani underperforms in the playoffs, I feel like he will be clowned on, and I feel like it could affect him over the long term, is public perception, because they're going to, let's be realistic, they're set up over the 9 following seasons, maybe 6 of them with some of their guys aging, to be able to be very flexible and go and spend to add to this roster. When they get back to the World Series, because I do feel like they will at some point over those next 6 to 7 seasons, I feel like regardless of what happens then, people will talk about Ohtani's first World Series appearance if it's very poor. How do you feel about that? Okay.
I agree. But at the same time, I want to see, because we've never seen it as an Angel. In the next one, we'll get to see how will he pitch in the World Series.
And that's another aspect of it as well. I agree. If he goes out there and hits a home run, gets 3 RBIs, strikes out 9 batters in a World Series game in 2026, that'll be, I feel like that could undo a lot of it. But I feel like Otani has a lot on the line here. You look, Betts already has 2 World Series rings. Freeman already has a ring on a different team, which
I also feel like Yamamoto has a lot on the line.
I agree too. He had a very good rookie season. Fact of the matter is, he came over at 28 years old. You're not really sure how many chances he's going to get here, right? Like, he signed for 12 seasons. There's a 10 or 12, one of the two. He signed for a long time to the Dodgers. He's going, maybe when he's 34, he doesn't have it anymore. I feel like this is kind of a really important thing for him. We talked about it as Mets fans because we're eyeing the free agent market now. Walker Buehler, Finn, how do we feel? How important is this series to Walker Buehler?
It's important. I feel like a good, strong showing will make teams want to will help teams somewhat forget the struggle he's had recently during the regular season, mainly with injury.
Yeah, he missed basically 2 seasons with Tommy John surgery, right? And then he comes back this year. He struggles a good bit. I mean, he was the best pitcher in that Mets-Dodgers series from watching the game, right?
I agree.
Maybe in a pure, he went 4 shutout, I guess. So maybe even in a pure statistical argument, you can make it 2. But watching the game, like, his stuff looked basically as good as it's ever looked. The velocity might have been a tick down from maybe his peak seasons in 21 and 20, but I mean, his off speed was moving very well. He struggled a little bit with command, but once he went into he just went into the stretch for the whole game, and his command got under control. I feel like a lot of teams are looking at Walker Buehler and saying, hey, we have good pitching development systems. I'm sure we can maximize Walker Buehler. And I hope the Mets do it versus maybe paying a Corbin Burns.
I think they definitely could. And I mean, look at Sean Manaea. Look at Seve.
Mm-hmm. A lot of... I think we made this... I forgot what even had sparked it. What sparked my Yankees player development thing? I gotta look at it. But I feel like these are 2 big market teams, obviously, but I think they're operated very different ways. And maybe right now we're talking a little bit less about the series, but I basically had a take. I said it to Finn, I said it to Sheldon. I think the Yankees are like one of the less... they're one of the worst player development teams, I think.
I can agree. Not a lot of homegrown talent on that team.
Yeah. And I had another reason for doing it, for saying this. I didn't just say, okay. Oh, it had to do with Severino, obviously. Severino looked lost with the Yankees. It's happened a lot of times. I think they had a minor leaguer say that, like, they don't believe in anything with the Yankees. They don't. Either way, we'll talk about that in another day. I'm sure we'll have a full episode where we go over player development labs in the major leagues. We probably won't though, but maybe it comes up. Either way, I think we've talked about impact. We'll quickly try to brush through unless you have any other Dodgers players you want to talk about.
Trying to think of names.
Okay, I think we're good then. If none instantly pop to your head, I think we're good. Between these two teams, which team does this matter more for?
Definitely the Dodgers.
Oh, okay. Let me hear the argument.
They put what was it? One argued $2 billion into this team.
Okay,
They really
that's
want to
fair.
see that investment pay off.
Let me make this argument though. Of that $2 billion, a lot of that's not just for this season though, right? Like, I feel like, and here's why I think it's the Yankees. This realistically is the best that the Yankees are going to be. They can make a couple tweaks. They can get a little bit better.
They definitely think they could get a lot better lineup wise.
They could, right? Like, they could do
They're
it, but
getting
it would.
lucky that some of these players are having a good postseason.
Mhm. It's just how are they going to financially get those upgrades, right? With how Stanton, Cole, Rodon, Judge taking up so much money for them. Rizzo has a big chunk. LeMahieu's still getting paid for them. A bunch of guys. If they bring back Soto, they got what they got, is how I think of it. It's going to be very
That's why I
hard.
don't think they bring back Soto.
Maybe. We'll talk about it in the offseason. But if
I think they can spread out, we'll say for numbers' sake, $40 million a whole lot better than that.
maybe certain teams, the best use is Juan Soto. We'll talk about that in another episode. Here's the thing. I don't know how much better the Yankees can realistically get given the financial commitments of their teams. The Dodgers, we talked about it with the Mets this season that they were playing with house money. Same thing with the Braves sneaking into the playoffs. These teams are playing with house money. Whatever happens, it's just a bonus. Probably not going to be very good this season. Dodgers sneakily kind of were too. They have a top 5 major league rotation on the injured list. They're playing with house money, is how I feel about the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I don't know how much they're going to get out of that rotation next year, though. Iron Kershaw will be injured if he's even back, and I think they will lose Jack Blair.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see, but everybody loves to talk about $2 million for Shohei Ohtani's salary next season. Hey, even though it's really $46 million, but people like to say $2 million, it still gives them a lot more flexibility than 70. Financially, they only have to account for 2 until 2023 or 2033 when they have to account for 68. But they're set up very well, financially wise, to where this doesn't have to be it for the Dodgers. They can easily reload in free agency. They're an amazing player development team. I feel like there's no reason to believe that this is it for this Dodgers team. I don't think this is it for the Yankees. I think they can obviously maintain good success going forward, but I'm not sure how much better it can get than this, given their financial situation. Do you have anything more on that?
I don't.
So we've gotten to the part where we make our predictions now, Finn. Given what is in front of us, and we haven't really talked about the offensive players briefly, they're very top heavy, both teams. Judge and Soto, Otani Betts, Freeman kind of dealing with injuries right now. Still looks decent out there. Teoscar Hernandez is swinging it pretty well. Tommy Edman, NLCS MVP. Who do we think is winning this series? Is what I'm trying to get at. Who do we think is winning this series?
I have Yankees in 7.
Okay. I feel like I have Yankees in 6 or 7 as well. The starting pitching advantage, I feel like they will have 6 starting pitchers that are quality and I can trust to get outs. I see 2.5 with the Dodgers, mainly because I don't think Buehler gets the innings, and I don't think Flaherty gets the consistency. Like if he's going to get 2 starts this series, I could see them both being mediocre. I could see one being really good and one being pretty bad. Yamamoto, similarly as well. He hasn't pitched much down the stretch. I believe he was on the IL before the World Series or the playoffs started. So, he's not even in a groove yet. So, put it in this terms. We both feel like it's going to be a longer series. Certainty on the Yankees. Like percentage certainty.
I'll go 70.
Okay. I feel like this is one of the closer ones recently. I feel like 55-45 in favor of the Yankees. I feel like this is one of the closer ones. I feel like in 2021 and 2022, I really favored Houston. They won one of those, but I really favored Houston in those series. Last year, I would have probably been about 65 Rangers. 2020, I would have picked the Dodgers that year. Either way, I feel like this is one of the more evenly matched World Series. Quickly before we go, Finn, how do we feel about the discourse of people not liking that the Yankees and the Dodgers are in the World Series? How do we feel about this?
Honestly, I don't get it.
I don't either. Vinny
The teams
Pasquantino.
have the talent and the teams won.
Yeah. Vinny Pasquantino. I butchered that the second time. I got it the first time when you spoke over me, but either way. Vinny Pasquantino posted, he's like, hey, y'all are mad when the number 1 seeds make it all the way to the World Series. But when the underdogs win, you say it's because the postseason format is rigged. So we can't be pleased. Clearly, I don't understand. We can't appreciate that 2 of the better teams in baseball have made it all the way to the World Series. I think it's very dumb. Enjoy the game, man.
Exactly.
Any
You
other?
even said it. 2 of the better teams.
I feel like we got 2 of the top 5 teams in the World Series right now.
You could even argue we have the 1 and the 2.
I think I agree. I feel like I would have put San Diego and Philly maybe. I mean, I
There's
don't
room
know.
for argument.
Yeah. Like I feel
That's
like I
why
would have.
said arguable.
Yeah. Either way, we're in this situation now. These are the top 2 teams. I think this is a good World Series. I'm going to be watching a good bit of it. I'm sure you are going to watch a good bit of it too. Good bit of it being like 95% of it. Yeah. Any other
That's about right.
any other comments before we wrap this one up?
No.
Yeah, that'll do it for the World Series predictions episode. This should be going up before Game 1 at noon, hopefully. Next episode will be Like I alluded to with Sheldon in here earlier, will be the first week recap for the NBA. We'll have breakout picks in that episode. Also, as of recording this today, I put out the top 50 players for the NBA in 2024. Go view that one. Talk about all the things that I'm sure people will disagree about. Either way, that'll wrap up this recording, and we will see you guys in the next MLB episode. That will be starting now. It'll be weekly. Yeah, that'll do it. We'll see you next time.